Thank you so much for tuning in to DCRE TV. We have a great interview for you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, do I have an amazing interview for you today? A son of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a graduate of Rufus King High School, shout out to the North Side. He represents his company and its subsidiaries in real estate investment activities, that being permanent and construction financing transactions, acquisitions and dispositions, joint venture development projects, asset management, and leasing transactions. He also supports his company's legal and local investment initiatives. In the law department, he's a member of the Summer Clerkship Committee. In the corporate vertical, he's a member of the Sustained Action for Racial Equality Task Force and the Impact Investment Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing to you today Assistant General Counsel of Real Estate Investments for a Fortune 100 company, Larry Whitley. Larry, thank you so much for joining me today on this beautiful Sunday morning. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Cool. I appreciate your time, man. So we're going to start the interview out. This is what I call the roots of the interview. We're going to start with, tell me, where you're from, where your family originates from. You can start from the motherland, you can start in the South, or you can start from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Share with us your origin story.
My mom was really the main sort of parent that guided me throughout my life. My father was in and out of my life while he was alive. And so it was really her and the village that she built around me, whether that was through church or my grandmother or my aunts and uncles, that helped me become the man I am today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And what is your mother's name, if you don't mind sharing?
Deborah Lawson.
Deborah. Shout out to Deborah. We love you, Deborah. And talk about your brothers. You said you had two brothers?
Two younger brothers. They're both, they're grown now, 25 and like 21 or something like that. And they're both also just trying to navigate this world as well.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. And did you have any extended family members that played a major role in your life? Maybe an uncle or grandfather? Anybody you want to share on this platform?
I would say my mom's brother, again, when he was alive, my Uncle Al. That's what I called him. My Uncle Al was the one that he was one of the only people that would take me to like the library and taught me how to play chess, and just he was that male figure in my life that I didn't really have, if I'm being really honest with you. My father, like I said, he was in and out of my life, and he struggled with alcohol addiction and things of that nature. And so my uncle was the male figure that really stepped up and just taught me how to be a man.
So, awesome, man. And he said Uncle Al.
Uncle Al, yeah.
Shout out to Uncle Al. We love you on this platform. All right, so then let's go into your childhood. What was it like growing up in Milwaukee as a young guy, oldest of three boys, single mom household? Take me through that childhood into high school.
Like I mentioned, my mom just knew that education was going to be the way for us to achieve, right? And so she really stressed the importance of education from an early age. And so because of that, she would find programs that would emphasize that. So one program that I was in was called the Youth Leadership Academy, and that was like an ROTC style program through the YMCA that would have young Black boys out on a Saturday morning, like learning just sort of what you can envision through an ROTC program, right? Just the importance of discipline, the importance of accountability, the importance of responsibility, and really also there was an exposure component to it, right? So they would have people coming in and telling you, what they did for a living, whether it was, hey, I'm a teacher or I'm in the military or whatever the case may be. And so it really broadened my aperture in terms of what I could be. And so that was one program that she made sure I was a part of. And there was also just, honestly, man, I felt like I was at church every Thursday, every Saturday, every Sunday. And
amen. Amen.
So there were also just so many programs at church that she also made us be a part of. And I, looking back on it at the time, obviously, like, was like, why are we going to church again? But looking back on it, it was so foundational to who I am. And uh, in tough times today, like, I lean on my faith for everything. And so I'm so grateful for just the level of intentionality that my mom had around everything
Yeah.
uh, in my childhood.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, that resonates with me as well. I feel like growing up in inner cities, your foundational pieces that kind of keep you anchored are, the church for sure. Right? Can we get an amen on that? Amen.
Amen.
The church, the YMCA back in the day, that was huge. That was like, and rec centers. Rec centers were a big thing. At least where I came from, I can imagine where you came from as well. And that kind of keeps you grounded and keeps those influential people in your life. So I'm glad that, that was your situation as well.
Well, like you go to school from, let's call it 7 to 2 or 7 to 3, but then you've got the rest of the evening, right? For just for bad things to happen, or for an idle mind to just be wandering, right? And so my mom, again, was just very intentional about, no, you're going to be in piano class, or you're going to be at church, or you're going to be at the YMCA. And so, again, just, she didn't have the answers, but she knew to find the people that had the answers. And I'm just so grateful for that.
Awesome. Awesome. What was your mom's name again? One more time?
Deborah Lawson.
Mama Deborah, thank you so much, Mom. We love you on this platform. And again, let's clap it up for the YMCA. Let's clap it up for the YMCA, man. We've done YMCA, Big Brother, Big Sister, the Boys and Girls Club throughout all the inner cities throughout the country have done amazing things for people like us. So we want to shout them out. If they want to sponsor us, hey, that could be. We'll always shout them out. But okay, back to you, Larry. Let's talk about high school, man. So what kind of student were you in high school at Rufus?
Yeah, so went to Rufus King High School, which was like at the time, one of the best public schools, if not the best public schools in Milwaukee. And so that was cool because I was surrounded by a bunch of kids that also sort of valued the importance of education. So in high school is where just the environment that King creates, it was okay to be smart, right? It was okay to want to have a 3.9 or 4.0 or whatever the case may be. It was okay. Honestly, it was okay to say I want to go to college. And so that was the environment that I was in. So just those kind of activities is kind of what I really sort of navigated towards naturally. So National Honor Society, and there was a program also called Upward Bound that really was foundational for me because after school I would go to Upward Bound and they would teach me how to study for the ACT, from an early age, and they would teach me how to apply for colleges, and we would go on college tours and things of that nature. And so really it was Upward Bound and also just the environment that King created that put college sort of at the forefront of my mind.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Let's clap it up for Rufus King in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Also, Upward Bound. Clap it up for Upward Bound, man. This is great. You like to keep the energy up on this platform, so
Yeah, I see. That's
we got to shout them out, man. They're doing amazing things in the community. I don't think they get spotlighted enough, and they're turning out great individuals like yourself. So we got to shout them out. Okay, so high school, you're at Rufus, you're feeling, empowered, educated, you're getting your work done, and then graduation. Tell me about the graduation. I'm sure your family was super proud.
Yeah, so graduated, definitely top 5%, if not higher.
Oh my God! Wow!
Sort of in my class, and then was definitely thinking about what was next, right? And so for me, that was always going to be college. Like I said, my mom, my church, and just everyone that had sort of instilled in me the importance of education to achieve upward mobility. That was going to be the way for me. And so when it came time to think about college, I applied to a number of schools. Really, I was looking at whoever had a free application or would waive the application fee for me. I was applying to all of them. So I applied to Morehouse. I applied to University of Michigan, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Marquette, just a number of schools that I was looking at, and ultimately got into like most of those schools, right? So and it came down to like the University of Michigan, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Marquette. And really, Marquette offered me essentially a full ride, and so that was one of the primary reasons that I ended up choosing Marquette. I'm a first generation college kid, so I didn't know about pedigree and things of that nature. It was for me, it was like, all right, you go to college to one, to learn, and two, to increase your earning potential. And so those were sort of the two main things that I was focused on. Is like, all right, where can I learn, and where can I get on a platform to sort of improve my economic situation? And so Marquette offered those things. Plus, there was a program there called the Educational Opportunity Program, and that was a program geared towards first generation college kids, where we actually got to move onto campus about a month before school started, just to get us acclimated to being a black and brown kid at a PWI, right? And so within that, we just created this entire sense of community where we all knew this was where we all knew we were doing something special, and we wanted to figure out how to navigate it together. So
Awesome. And what was that program called one more time?
the Educational Opportunity Program.
Educational Opportunity Program. Let's clap it up for Mark. Clap it up for Marquette University, giving opportunities for black and brown students to get a head start on their college education. That's amazing. Again, we want to spotlight these amazing programs at these universities and within these communities. So they're turning out great products like yourself, giving back to the community. So, okay, you're at Marquette. What was that like? Take me first day, Marquette, freshman year. What was that like?
Culture shock.
You're a long way from home.
Like that's the easiest way to describe it, right? Again, a kid from the north side of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's very segregated. So for the most part, like, my school was predominantly black, right? And so going to Marquette, it was predominantly white, and those were things that I just had to learn how to navigate. Just being a dash of pepper in a sea of salt.
Too much salt.
Right? Just trying to figure out how do I navigate this space? How do I show up to class every day? I dress differently. I talk a little differently. The things that trying to find common ground with people. I mean, it was very challenging, right? But again, the Educational Opportunity Program, EOP, without them, I guarantee that I would have had to transfer or would have left, because I couldn't figure it out for the longest without them. So
Yeah, now I get it. You're trying to find your sense of belonging, right? So that's always a difficult thing, especially at an early age. A lot of people go through that. So I'm glad you actually shared that with us. So I appreciate that, man. You being open and give us that, candid outlook into your personal life as a young man. So, okay, how did you find your sense of belonging at Marquette University?
I would say just trying to build, human connections with people, right? And so my roommate, we would watch like the Packer games on Sundays and things of that nature, right? And so just trying to realize that we're really not that different, And so that was the way. And then also really digging into the work and realizing, okay, I'm here for an education, I'm here to get a job, and I'm here to better my economic situation. And so really sort of remembering what my purpose of college was, while also being even more deliberate and intentional about building relationships with people. That's really how I made it through. And then there was also just every day, I think we played basketball, pickup basketball for 3-4 hours. And so that was another way. That was just another outlet for us to build camaraderie and friendship and things of that nature.
Awesome, man. That sounds amazing. Is there anybody you want to shout out who was influential for you at Marquette University?
I would say one of the coolest things that I did sort of during my time at Marquette is my freshman year, I was actually the student manager for the Marquette men's basketball team under Coach Buzz Williams. So that was a roster that now names you would recognize would be like Jimmy Butler or Wes Matthews and folks like that. So being a manager for that team, being able to participate in every practice, stay after practice and cut videotape and travel with the team and just all those things, that sort of enhanced my college experience to a great degree. and then just being able to sit in the huddle and listen to Coach Buzz Williams draw up game plans or you know, talk to a player, kind of coach them up a little bit, I guess is the best way to say it. Coach them up, provide them with some motivation and inspiration. It was just a really cool experience. There were times when I thought he was talking to me and I was ready to run into the game, right? But it's like I was obviously not on the team. I was just helping the team. But that's how impactful his words were for me. So definitely just that entire experience working as a student manager.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Let me just cut you off. Did you play basketball?
Not like on a significant level. No.
Oh, okay.
My younger brother is the one that was a basketball standout, you know, took King upstate or was a part of the team that went upstate, backcourt teammates with Jordan Poole, you know, so like my brother was the one that really made his mark in athletics. But for me, it was academics.
Okay. Let me just give the audience some context and background on why I asked that question. For those of you that don't know, Larry's like 6'7".
Damn!
6'3".
He feels like he's 6'7". I mean, it's funny when you meet somebody for the first time and you don't expect them to be so tall or so short, right? So I met Larry the first time, and I was like, Larry, what's going on, man?
No, I can definitely hoop. I didn't nothing to write home about is what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. Look, in high school I played football. That was my sport. Went to college, did a little something, but you know that's as far as it went. And more people can attest to that experience than the ones that actually did make it to the league or played in the collegiately. So, but I just had to ask because I figured you know you do have the height, etc. All right, Larry. So tell me a little bit about graduating from Marquette University. What was that like? I'm sure your mother was just glowing with enthusiasm and happiness.
So at Marquette, after I sort of got over or learned how to sort of deal with being one of the only on campus, right, and then also sort of adjusting to the rigor of Marquette and specifically the College of Business, I really started to find my stride. I started to make the dean's list and things of that nature. And I really started to figure out, okay, why exactly am I here and what am I looking to do sort of long term? And so in the School of Business, I decided to major in marketing. And so I was kind of thinking, all right, maybe I'll go do marketing for some of these Fortune 500 brands, or maybe I'll go work in sports and do sports marketing. Just these are just things that I would just hear of, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me see what that might look like. But I graduated sort of with my degree in marketing and realized that there wasn't a whole lot out there for fresh undergrads at that time, sort of directly in marketing. Most of the jobs were actually geared towards like sales jobs. So you would go work for like a direct supply or, you know, just some organization where you would be selling their products. And so that's actually kind of where I ended up initially. I graduated and worked for a pro sports team, a local pro sports team in their group sales department. And so I would be responsible for just any game day promotions or bringing out big groups such as like YMCA groups or church groups, et cetera, trying to you know, sell them tickets to the game, but also pair it with some kind of in-game experience, whether that was getting a chance to tour a locker room or whatever the case may be. And this is really no knock on that job or anything like that, but I quickly learned that wasn't for me. It wasn't what I had envisioned for myself. It wasn't sort of the skill set that I had hoped to acquire and become really good at. And so I immediately, within the first 8 months of that job, realized like I'm going to have to pivot sooner than later. And so that's when I started to really start thinking deeply about, all right, is it going to be grad school or is it going to be law school? And through just a number of conversations and life experiences, that's when it became clear to me that law school was going to be sort of the next step in my progression.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you sharing that amazing story with us. That's so cool. So you graduate from Marquette University. You got to share with us some pictures so we can put them up on the screen when we talk about this. I would love to see, you know, you, your brothers, your mother, and anybody else in your family that was in attendance there. And then you decided to go to law school. So you went to law school immediately after undergrad?
So yeah, worked for a year for a local pro sports team in group sales, like I mentioned, and then during that process, realized that I wanted to go to law school. So then, you know, I was already living on Marquette's campus. I had a great level of familiarity with the campus, and Marquette had a brand new shiny law school building, and so I said, you know what, I'm gonna apply there, and if I get in, I'm just gonna go there, and that's kind of how it went down.
That's awesome, man. And you know what's amazing about that story is you went there and you felt a little out of place. You know, there was a little culture shock, had to adjust. Eventually, that happened over time, and you actually returned for grad school. So that means like Marquette was doing their job, and you know they produced a great product in yourself, not just in undergrad, but also as a law grad. So take me through that process of law school. I can imagine.
Yeah, so you get to law school and immediately you realize that you're surrounded by high achievers, right? So like folks that to all type A personalities, all the people that were 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 kids like their entire life, and you put them all in one classroom and you put them and you grade them on a curve, right? So naturally, law school is extremely competitive. It's very different than undergrad. Undergrad, you can still, you know, you can go out have fun time. You can still go out have fun with your friends. You can still play ball for 4 or 5 hours a day. Law school was a job. You know, law school, you wake up 7 a.m., 6 a.m., and you're at the law school the entire day, whether you're in class or you're preparing for the next class or you're, you know, synthesizing your notes or whatever the case may be. Like you treat it as a full-time job because you know you're graded on a curve and everybody's there to get a job, right? And so, but law school was everything and more for me, right? If it was again when I was in undergrad, I kind of just chose the School of Business because I knew that we live in a society that revolves around money, right? So I didn't put enough thought into that. But in law school, it was like, okay, I'm dealing with the complex, the abstract. I'm reading case law from the 1800s, and I'm seeing how everything was sort of built. And it was just, I'm not gonna say I loved it, right? Because I don't think anybody loves law school. But the process of law school, I think I really, really enjoyed. And so during law school, they kind of really push you into two different tracks, right? So either the litigation route, so think about, you know, the lawyers that are in courtrooms or the things like that that you see on TV. And then they also have like transactional attorneys, the folks that are, you know, negotiating contracts and things of that nature and working for companies. And so you kind of your first year you take a sort of standard set of classes, but then your second year you can start to pick and choose what kind of classes you want to take. And just based on my undergrad in business and just based on my personality and through conversation, I realized that I really wanted to pursue a more transactional track.
That was good, man. I appreciate you sharing that. It's great perspective for any young kid, you know, from the north side of Milwaukee looking to go to law school. Get that perspective from you is amazing. I can imagine, you know, would help them plan their process and path. So, okay, law school. It sounds like you liked law school. I don't think I've met a person that liked law school.
No, so I liked the process of law school, and I liked the fact that it was like, all right, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I think having that prior work experience and realizing that I wasn't dealing with anything complex and abstract, and I was kind of bored, to be honest with you. Like going to law school and just like, I don't know, man, it just changes the way you think, like the skill set that you're acquiring. You know, you hone your communication skills, your analytical skills, your just the way you sort of analyze situations and think about risk. I don't know. I don't think anybody loves law school, to be clear, but it was validating that I was amongst people that, I don't know, we just kind of all understood that we were supposed to be there, you know, if that makes sense.
That's amazing, man. And you recommend Marquette University's law school to anybody looking to get into law school?
I would say if so the way I'll answer that is you really should think about where you want to practice. And that can be hard, right? It can be hard for a kid coming out of college to know where they want to set up their life, right? Or at least initially. But for me, knowing that I'm from Milwaukee, born and raised, and I wanted to start my practice in Wisconsin, you've only got two choices in Wisconsin. You've got Marquette University Law School and you've got the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So you've only got two choices in Wisconsin. So I would say the advice is, or the things to consider is, where do you want to practice? And then I would also say it just depends on sort of what your overall admission package looks like. And so the advice would be, try to get into the best school that you can get into, because that'll just open up your opportunities, right? So one of my best friends, he went to Notre Dame Law School, right? And so because of that, the amount of law firms and corporations and things like that want to hire him or want him to lateral, like that list is going to be greater because Notre Dame has a larger brand recognition, right? And also, I think it's ranked in the top 25 or whatever. So, but when it comes to law school rankings, definitely matter a bit more. So,
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that. And, I would love to chat with you since we're on the law school topic. Minorities, particularly African American men. The numbers of African American men or minorities overall applying to law school, I've read in the headlines, have decreased or are decreasing. Is that what you've observed as well? And then how would you suggest we improve those numbers?
yeah. So to your point, only about 8% of law students are black. And I think that's problematic for, a variety of reasons, right? I mean, how do we impact change in this country? It's through policy and through law. And so if you don't have a diverse slate of folks that are becoming lawyers, obviously, you can just imagine what that does, and the negative impact that it has on our people. And so yes, to your point, I agree 100%. We have to find a way to improve diversity amongst law students, and one of those ways is through exposure, right? Like, one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, like, I'm really a head down, do the work, like, kind of guy, but it's like, no, I have to show people that I exist, because if we can just inspire one kid that says, you know what, I know a black guy that is a commercial real estate attorney, or I heard this podcast. It sounds interesting. Maybe I should do that. Now we start to build some momentum, and we start to change things. And now we can try to impact change that way through exposure. And so it is a problem. And I try, not each and every day, but I try often to play my role, play my part in improving those odds. I take no pride in beating the odds that I've overcome, right? I take no pride in that. It's like, how do we level the playing field? How do we make things better for all of us? That's my goal right now. That's my mission.
Awesome, man. Love you sharing that with us. Okay, so after law school, what happened then?
So in law school, like I mentioned, you kind of get pushed into, either you don't get pushed into it, but you realize that there's the litigation track, and then there's a transactional track, and maybe some government, nonprofit, and things like that. But for me, I was very clear that transactional sort of aligned with my skill set and my background. And so then in law school, I was very intentional about seeking out internships where I could actually figure out, okay, what do lawyers actually do? Again, me growing up, my dad was a school bus driver, so like didn't know any attorneys growing up, right? And so I needed to figure out, okay, what exactly do lawyers do? Legal education is largely based on like case law, and you're reading cases and summarizing the cases and things of that nature. But how do you actually apply those concepts that you're learning to the real world, right? And so my first summer, I entered at a private equity firm where I just really got exposure to like securities law and what the SEC does and what FINRA does and things like that. But then it was my second summer actually where I was at a Fortune 100 company, and they had a law department of over 120 people. They had about 9 different practice areas, and the way the internship was set up was that we would rotate on different teams. So I would do a couple weeks on the employment law team, or a couple weeks with the insurance team, or whatever the case may be. And it was through that I realized, honestly, I was ruling out things that I didn't want to practice. I'm like, oh, that seems awful. I'm not doing that, right? And so through internship is when I really, really started to see what does it actually look like to be an attorney? What does it actually look like to be, a litigator for a Fortune 500 company, or whatever the case may be? And so I recall one meeting specifically. I was doing my rotation on the real estate team at that company, and I got invited to a due diligence meeting. And I'm just shadowing, right? I'm just shadowing a more seasoned attorney. But just imagine for your listeners, imagine a conference table, a conference room, and you've got your architect, you've got your engineer, you've got an insurance person, you've just got a wide variety of skill sets and experts in the room that are all evaluating a potential transaction. And I don't know, I just thought it was the coolest thing that the insurance person would chime in and say, "Yeah, we need about $500,000 worth of auto insurance or whatever the case may be." And the environmentalist is saying, "Hey, this property has these issues, and this is how we have to remediate them, and this is the risk to us as the investor." Or the attorney coming in, and the attorney's talking about these are all the documents and all the paper that we've had to negotiate and draft and sort of push through. To properly allocate risk between sort of our side and their side. And so that meeting, just being there, being a fly on the wall, that meeting was so impactful for me. And then I realized, like, okay, here's an area of law where you take pieces of paper, and at the end of it, you get a shopping mall, where you get an apartment building, where you get an office building. And so it was really the tangible nature of real estate, if I'm being really honest, that made me say, you know what, I'm going to be very intentional about trying to stick around here. And through God's will, that happened.
Awesome, man. Let's clap it up for Larry real quick. That's a great story, man. We appreciate it. I can't thank you enough for sharing this amazing story. And, like you said, hopefully, whether it's North Milwaukee or anywhere in the country for that matter, somebody watching this video can be inspired about that and want to get into law school or go to a university like Marquette and hear about the programs that are available to them and, the internships and being very, to your point, intentional about finding what works best for you. And sounds like you found that. So that's amazing, man. Appreciate that storytelling.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a brief announcement giving you, the viewers, an opportunity to support this program. If you've enjoyed this type of content, which highlights the achievements of a diverse set of professionals, you can support by clicking on one of the payment app links in the description below. I'm a Black man with a plan who teamed up with another skilled brother, and we've decided that there's not enough stories being shared of successful and progressive and diverse individuals. For instance, if you haven't caught on already, I'm from Philly, and if you're from Philly too, see if you can answer these 3 questions. Who was the most popular Black actor from Philly? Okay, who is the most successful and well-known rapper to recently come out of the city of Philadelphia? Last one. Who is the most famous and highest paid comedian to come out of Philly? Now, you didn't even have to be from the city of brotherly love to know the answer to those questions, because anyone that's been paying attention to the American culture for the past decade knows who these fine gentlemen are. And it's a testament to the talent in the city I call home. Now, look, I'm not trying to name drop, although I just did, but it helps provide context for the next set of questions. Check this out. Can you name one minority individual from the city of Philadelphia who has served or currently serving as a chairman or CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Who is the most successful minority banker, venture capitalist, and or entrepreneur to come out of Philly? Currently, who is considered one of the most distinguished minority educators, lawyers, accountants, doctors, or my personal favorite, commercial real estate developer in the city of Philadelphia? Don't know? Well, I don't know either, but I'm on a mission to find these individuals, interview them, and ensure that we all know who's who going forward. Okay, now that you get my drift, here's your opportunity to support the ongoing efforts to highlight a diverse set of professionals and to inspire the next generation. Eventually, we're looking to go across the country to speak with you or someone you know at the top of their game in their respective industry and has significant community involvement. Please contact me on LinkedIn right now. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for the latest videos on this channel. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Okay, so let's move on to the career and the current role you're in now. Being an attorney, a real estate investment attorney, and I mentioned before in the intro, you're doing all sorts of things. You're doing financing, you're doing JV ventures, you're doing leasing, asset management. I mean, you name it, you're doing a little bit of everything. Acquisition, disposition. I mean, dude, What is special about your role as an attorney on real estate investments?
So I would say I get to represent a Fortune 100 company on all their real estate investment activities. The portfolio is probably 80% fixed income, 20% equity. And so because of that, I just get to see a lot of cool stuff and a lot of sophisticated transactions that, again, just keep me engaged. So I mentioned earlier not being engaged at my job, my first job post college, right? And so with this job, I don't have that problem. There's always new deals. There's always new issues that we have to work through. Um, and so it's just been like one of the coolest things that's ever happened for me. What my day to day looks like right now is the way I look at it is I partner with business professionals that are out in the field looking for deals, whether that's a developer just built a building and they need us to refinance them, or a developer just found a plot of land or they're under contract to acquire some land and they want us to come in and be the capital partner, right? Like I get to partner with the business professional and really taking that deal from origination, from the first moment we sign an LOI or MOU or whatever the case may be, all the way through closing. And so my life is kind of in 90-day increments right now, where it's like I've got 5, 6, 7, sometimes more than that deals at one time. And I'm partnering with those professionals to close those deals in a timely fashion, and also making sure that I help mitigate risk and making sure that we're properly protected. And so it's never boring. It's always interesting. And I'm always sort of up at night making sure, like, all right, did I do what I was supposed to do? Are we properly protected? Should I have given that? Just things of that nature that just constantly stay on my mind. But it's been a whirlwind.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. And so let's go back to this Fortune 100 company that you're talking about, you work for now. Outside of what you're doing for them as a real estate attorney, I mentioned in the intro, you're doing a lot of other things, man. Let's dig into that. Let's dig into the involvement on the social impact side, whether it's in your legal department or within the corporate realm of your employer.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, during the day, my job primarily is, representing this company on their real estate portfolio, helping them close transactions, right? But in recent years, I've also been able to combine sort of my upbringing, my perspective as a young Black kid from the north side of Milwaukee, with these transactional skills that I've acquired to try to impact change, right? And so obviously, when George Floyd was murdered, a lot of companies realized, like, well, what is the role of the private sector in impacting change and trying to right some of these wrongs, right? Like some of the things that are just not right with our society. And one of those things, obviously, is the racial wealth gap and access to capital. And so through my involvement with some of these committees at work, I'm actively in the room advocating on behalf of the communities that I come from and trying to figure out how can we, in a sustainable, actionable, practical, smart way, allocate capital to folks that have been historically undercapitalized, right? And so, or underrepresented. And so, I take great pride in sort of the role that I do play. My name will never be on any of the press releases, but it is very cool when I see we have made, a $5 million commitment to a local bank that's going to deploy capital to Black and brown businesses, right? Like the small role that I have played in that happening just makes my job even more worthwhile, to be honest.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing so much. And shout out to your employer for their commitment to closing that racial equity gap, particularly within the Midwestern region, specifically in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it's amazing that they have a product of North Milwaukee in the building at the table, helping with making these decisions. I think that's very vital in creating change. You got to have someone from the community at the table that is, giving their perspective as well. So shout out to them, man. I really appreciate what they're doing. I wish them nothing but the best of luck going forward, as well as you and the rest of your team. So let's talk about within the community. Are you involved in anything associated with the bar association or any of the Milwaukee nonprofits? Share with us what you're involved in.
I would say right now the main thing that I'm involved in is I sit on the board of a nonprofit called the Neighborhood House of Milwaukee. And the easiest way to describe it is that it's a community center in one of the most challenged neighborhoods in Milwaukee. Like I mentioned, some of the outcomes, whether it's the health disparities or the wealth gap or just access to quality education or quality childcare, right? These are all things that this community is struggling with at an even greater rate than some of the other parts of Milwaukee. And so this community center really, if I could be very simple, it's a safe space for people. It's a space for you to take your kids or for even for you to go in and there's programming centered around just inspiring discovery and inspiring an environment for learning. So you can send your kid there after school and know that they're going to be with folks that care about them and want them to succeed and want them to go on to better their situation. And so I'm very judicious in what you know boards I sit on, where I lend my time, and things like that. But this one, the mission, there was just definite alignment with sort of what I care about, and although I didn't grow up in that specific community, it's a lot of parallels to how I grew up, right? And so because of that, that's kind of where I try to dedicate and spend my time right now.
Awesome, man. Let's clap it up for Larry. Let's clap it up for Larry. Awesome, man. Awesome. And what was that nonprofit called again?
It's called the Neighborhood House of Milwaukee.
Neighborhood House of Milwaukee.
Listeners want to donate, we are definitely, or their time or their capital, we are definitely receptive to that.
You sound like a board member of a nonprofit organization. Yes, please, if you have the time or the financial capacity, donate one or the other to Neighborhood House of Milwaukee. And while we're at it, if you want to sponsor Diversity CRE platform, please. And even if you don't want to sponsor or donate, like, subscribe, leave a comment, share. I mean, Larry, I try to tell people all the time, when you're watching my content, I really do appreciate the support, but the algorithms don't favor a smile while you watch. The algorithms favor engagement, likes, comments, subscribes, shares, whatever. So I always try to remind folks, please give me some type of engagements on this, on either YouTube or LinkedIn or other platforms you see us on, because the algorithms will help favor it, and favoring it helps reach out to those that may need this the best, right? Based on the algorithms settings, and helping us provide that influence that we're trying to do in the community. So, okay, going back to you, Larry, is there anyone in your career as a lawyer that you want to shout out that really gave you inspiration or great mentorship or sponsorship, as a young real estate attorney?
Like I said, really, it would almost be unfair to single out one person or two people. I am really a product of my community. I'm a product of the village, and every person that pulled me to the side and spent 5-10 minutes with me and just taught me something, right? Like, so many people have been rooting for me and have wanted me to be successful and things of that nature. And so I guess my shout out would go to any black and brown person that has had to navigate these choppy waters of corporate America and that has paved the way for someone like me, right? If you've blazed a trail in any way, salute to you, because I know how challenging it is. I know how difficult it is to navigate these waters. And I commend you, because you'll probably never get credit for it, right? But I know the impact of what you've done for me.
Right. Oh, man, that was a great answer, man. I appreciate that. It touched my heart. All right, then. So one other thing I want to kind of go back to, let's talk about family. So who's been your main supporter in all this journey and all your busy nights up late looking at these legal documents and trying to close these transactions? Who's been one of your main supporters in your life?
Oh, my wife for sure my wife Isabella has been side by side with me throughout this entire thing, right? Like, we met while I was in law school, just out one night, and we've been sort of joined at the hip since. And so without her, without her sort of being the mother to our children, and just being there for me in every sense of the word. Support. It's just, I wouldn't be where I am, right? There's so many times when deals, like, sometimes it take times. You know how it is. Like, sometimes you have to be up late, like working on the transaction. And so when I do have to sort of disappear and I'm haggling over legal terms or whatever the case may be, just knowing that she's holding us down, that means everything to me.
Yeah.
And even just being a sounding board when I have to vent about situations, and she's been there side by side. So
Sounds like it. She's been your wife, your therapist, your everything.
all of the above.
Yeah,
and my best friend for sure. Yep.
That's awesome, man. What's your wife's name, by the way, if you don't mind sharing?
Isabella.
Shout out to Isabella. And then you have a beautiful family, I presume, as well. Do you?
Yep.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to go into the rapid fire question or rapid fire round of this interview, Larry. So I'm just going to ask you a quick question and you just give me a quick answer and we'll go from there, okay? First question I always ask is, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. All right, love that. Okay, what's your favorite car?
Favorite car? I've never thought about that, to be honest. I'm gonna just say Mercedes. Anything Mercedes.
Okay, you're a Mercedes man. I like that. That's cool. Okay, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie would be Shawshank Redemption.
One big damn conspiracy, and everyone's in on it, including her.
Ooh, all right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Okay, do you have any favorite vacation spots you like to go to?
Yeah, so my wife is Puerto Rican, so San Juan, Puerto Rico has become just one of my favorite spots to go to every couple of years, for sure.
Awesome, man. San Juan sounds cool. I've never been, so when I go, I'm gonna call you for some recommendations. Okay, what's your favorite sports team?
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Favorite football team?
Green Bay Packers.
This one for Lazard. Makes the play. Touchdown.
Shout out to Green Bay. Shout out to Wisconsin. If you're from Wisconsin and you're watching this video, like, subscribe, share. Please follow us. Give us some engagement. We really appreciate the support. What's your favorite song?
Love Yours by J. Cole.
Ooh, snap it up. Love Yours by J. Cole. Woo, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. I think we're going to end the rapid fire on that note. That was a good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite part of the interview, the quote battle. Here's where me and my interviewee go back and forth with our best quotes. 3 rounds. Please, in the comment box, leave a note who you think won round 1, 2, 3, or the competition overall.
Round 1, fight!
He who is not courageous enough to take risk will accomplish nothing in life. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali coming out jabbing early.
If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle. You have a cage.
Yep.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nice. Okay. That was a good one. Okay. All right. I like the way this is going already. All right.
Round 2, fight!
Success is not to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed. Booker T. Washington.
For my next one, I'm going to say, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Author unknown.
Okay. I can do that. All right.
Round 3. Fight!
You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom. Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Snap it up. Rest in peace with Malcolm X. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
I've learned that people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou.
Maya. Snap it up for Maya. Snap it up for Maya. I like that. Good job, man. Good job. All right, so that's the end of the quote battle. Again, y'all, please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let us know who you think won. Philly versus Milwaukee. Please share this with anyone that you think this is an interesting concept. Thank you. This is what I call the cool down section of the interview. Larry, if you don't mind sharing with us, we're just cooling it down now. What are you watching on your favorite streaming service right now?
Yeah, right now I would say, obviously I'm a big sports fan, so a lot of NBA basketball is kind of occupying my time, and on Saturday nights a lot of boxing. But if I had to give you one show, I would say The Bear on Hulu is one of my favorite shows right now.
I've heard that several times. I gotta get on that. The Bear on Hulu. That's what's up, man. Okay, and do you have any books that you're reading right now? Any publications that you're consuming right now in your leisurely time?
Yeah, there's a book called From Rage to Entitlement by Dr. Price Cobbs. It's fantastic so far.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. And then who would you say were probably the most 3 influential people in your life?
I'd say Buzz Williams, Will Smith from afar, obviously, and then my mom.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Shout out to Buzz. Shout out to your mom. And Will Smith is from Philadelphia. Appreciate that, man. The last leisurely question I'll ask you is, from one podcast content creator to another, share with us your platform.
Yeah, so I started a podcast called Scholarships, and really the whole idea is to champion folks that have achieved via academics. Again, growing up in the inner city of Milwaukee, I feel like basketball, or if you were good at hoops, or if you were just the athlete, you would get the pep rally and you would get the praise and things like that. And so the whole purpose of my platform is to say, no, this is another way for you to achieve upper mobility. This is also just a very cool way for you to better your situation, and honestly, a more practical one for most people, and one that'll create more longevity for you. Like this, the way I tell people is like, look, technically I signed like a 30-year contract, with my profession, and so if you want some stability and you want a job and a profession, candidly, that you can achieve pretty well economically. So yeah.
Oh man, I love that. Clap it up. We got to put that on the screen. I signed a 30-year contract in my profession. That's amazing, man. I got to use that. I love that, man. You got to get that trademarked. What if you don't mind, say the name of the podcast you have, as well as where people can find it.
Yeah, so the name of the podcast is called Scholarships, and it's available on every platform where you get your pods. So Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can definitely tap in with us.
Awesome. And then shout out your team, because it takes, just like you said, it takes a village for the profession. It takes a whole team for the podcast. So shout out your team.
Definitely. It's just me and my friend Tone. It's two-man shop. We do everything from identifying who we want on the platform to shooting the episodes. I edit the videos myself, and we just kind of we do it that way for now. Yeah.
Awesome. And this is the gentleman that went to law school at Notre Dame?
Correct. Yep.
And what was his name again? Full name?
It's Anthony Gaines. He's at a large law firm in Chicago. He's a mergers and acquisitions attorney. So again, two attorneys from the north side of Milwaukee that are practicing in big law, as they call it, and me at a Fortune 100 company. We just thought it was important to create a platform for ourselves and for folks that for like-minded individuals is the easiest way to say it.
Oh man, you're gonna make me cry, man. You're gonna make me cry. I love hearing that kind of story. Clap it up for these two brothers from North Milwaukee doing their thing in Big Law in Chicago and Milwaukee. Shout out to the whole time. If you are from the Midwest and you are hearing this story, you gotta like, subscribe, leave a comment, support our brothers. Larry, man, I love this. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. Okay, last question. Not to get all mushy about it, man, but I just love hearing these stories. Brothers doing amazing things in their, not just their community, but in their profession. Last question. If you can go back in time, way back in time, all the way back to the, Larry at Rufus King, Larry at Marquette undergrad, Larry at Marquette Law, even Larry when you first started practicing law. Any of those Larrys, if you can go back in time, what advice would you give a young Larry?
If I could simplify it, it would just be you have to show them. And what I mean by that is so many times in my life I felt that I was overlooked or that some opportunity came and I was never considered. And it's like, no, I needed to step up in that moment. I needed to show up and show them what I'm capable of. Again, I'm a big sports fan. So using a sports analogy, there are folks right now sitting on the bench on the basketball team. And they're like, Coach, if you put me in, I can give you 20. I can go and I can do a windmill. I can do all these things. But it's not that they don't believe you. You just have to show them. And so that's how I approach my practice right now is like, when complicated transactions are coming in, whether it's a $100 million recap or whatever the case may be, it's like, no, let me show you that I can handle this transaction. I could be lead attorney on this massive portfolio loan, right? And so that's how I approach my life right now. Is I have to show them. I can't assume that that I'm smart, that I'm capable, that I can do these things. I'm going to show you that I can do them.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I definitely appreciate that. That's an amazing advice. And I'm sure a young Larry or a young minority, not just in Wisconsin, but in America would appreciate that advice as well. So as they're watching this and that you appreciate that, definitely give us a like or share this content. So Larry, man, I appreciate that, man. That's all I got for you. Thanks for giving me some of your time on this Sunday afternoon. And I wish you, your family, and your community nothing but the best going forward, brother. Let's stay connected.
Thanks, man. And I really appreciate, what you're doing. Again, like we've talked about this offline.
Yeah.
I've been on so many negotiation calls and so many meetings in this industry where folks like us aren't on those calls, right? And so I'm hoping that through this platform, that can, again, be just one vehicle of change to where I am at the closing table and it is a more diverse closing table, or I am talking to opposing counsel and they are Black and brown. And so thank you for what you're doing, for the small role that you're going to play in sort of making this thing change.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. That means so much to me. From Philly to Milwaukee, we staying connected, brother. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story, and let's keep in touch and work together again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.